ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste. So last class we just started the second Mundaka, first section. After that, unfortunately, last week we couldn't have the class. So we will chant the mantra and also the portion of the bhashyam which we were discussing in the last class. Okay. Tadetat satyam
तदेतत् सत्यम्
yata sudipta
यथा सुदीप्त
yatha sudiptat
यथा सुदीप्तात्
pavakat
पावकात्
विस्फुलिंगाः
विस्फुलिंगाः
सहस्रशः
सहस्रशः
प्रभवन्ते
प्रभवन्ते
स्वरूपाः
स्वरूपाः
तथा अक्षरात्
तथा अक्षरात्
विविधाः
विविधाः
सौम्यभावाः प्रजायन्ते तत्र च एव अपीयन्ति. Now the sentence of the bhashya. हे सौम्य भावाः
हे सौम्य भावाः
जीवाः
देवाः
आकाशात् इव
आकाशात् इव
घटादिपरिचिन्नाः
घटादिपरिच्छिन्नाः
सुशिरभेदाः
सुशिरभेदाः
घटादि उपाधि प्रभेदम्
घटादि उपाधिभेदम्
अनुभवन्ति एवं नाना नामरूपकृत
एवं नामरूपकृत
देहोपाधि प्रभवम्
देहोपाधिप्रभवम्
अनुप्रजायन्ते
अनुप्रजायन्ते
तत्र चैव तस्मिन् एवाक्षरे
तस्मिन् एवाक्षरे
अपीयन्ति देहोपाधि विलयमनो
देहोपाधिविलयमनो
लीयन्ते
लीयन्ते
घटादि विलयमनो
घटादिविलयमनो
इव सुशिरभेदाः
इव शुशिरभेदाः.
Very good. So, as I had mentioned in the introduction to the second Mundaka, that Brahman is presented in the scriptures in two ways. One is based on the Tatastha Lakshanam, description of Brahman with reference to the Jagat as Jagat Karanam, and another on the basis of Swarupa Lakshanam, that is description of Brahman as Satchidananda. And this second Mundaka starts with presenting Brahman based on Tatastha Lakshana. That is, Akshara Brahman is Jagat Karanam. And there is a valid reason for that. Both with regard to teaching and also with regard to understanding, it is easier to deal with Brahman as Jagat Karanam rather than straight away take the student to Nirguna Brahman, which is a very subtle and therefore extremely difficult to comprehend. Of course, it is not impossible. And therefore, here also, the Upanishad starts with presenting Brahman as Jagat Karanam. And once that is fully understood, the Upanishad will guide the student to understanding of Brahman as Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. And therefore, in the mantra under discussion, the Upanishad presents the Jivatmas as being born of Akshara Brahman or Paramatma. Thus, Paramatma is the Karanam, cause. Jivatma is the Karyam, the product. And therefore, the implied message is that both Jivatma and Paramatma have essentially the same nature. Even though at the Upadhi level, that is Maya Upadhi of Paramatma and Sharira Traya Upadhi of the Jivatma, there are perceivable differences. But those differences are only superficial differences. But both are essentially of the same nature. Thus, the Upanishad wants to reveal Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. And to present this idea that Jivatmas are born of Paramatma, the Upanishad uses the example of fire and sparks, which we have discussed in the previous classes. Just as the sparks are born of fire, the Jivatmas are born of Paramatma. Both the fire and sparks, even though have different characteristics in terms of size, behavior, etc., essentially both are of the same nature. And what is that? Ushnam and Prakasham, heat and light. But as I said, this example has the potential to be misinterpreted in such a manner that Advaita Siddhanta could be challenged. And therefore, Bhashyakara in his Bhashyam referred to a different example of total space and pot space, Mahakasha and Ghatakasha, which we were discussing at the close of the last class. And Bhashyakara, explaining his example, said, Akashad iva ghatadi parichinna hai sushira bheda hai. So here he is comparing the Paramatma to total space and Jivatma to pot space, or we can say room space. But these days, who uses pot and all? Once upon a time, pot was the standard, utensil in the kitchen, clay pot. These days, we don't have that. We can call it room space. Space is space. So in appearance, the total space is huge, isn't it? Almost impossible to measure. Whereas the room space is small and measurable. However, the essential nature of both is what? Space only. And this spot space or room space, etc., they are nothing but our own creation based on the size and shape of the pot or the room, which we can call upadhis or conditioning factors of the pot and the room. Therefore, the space in the pot or in the room is the same as total space, but due to conditioning factors, they appear to be different in shape and size. And as I was explaining in the last class, even when we say a room, in our understanding, we are referring to the four walls and the ceiling and also the floor. That is what we call a room or a hall, etc., isn't it? But that understanding of the definition of a room is incorrect, is misconceived, because that is only the structural definition based on the conditioning factor. If you look at the Oxford Dictionary, the dictionary meaning of the word room is a part of a house or a building that has its own walls, floor and ceiling, and that part is called space. So this is the dictionary meaning, which we just totally ignore. And in normal parlance, what we say? We say, I have built a room in the terrace. The builder built a room. And if it is correctly translated as per the dictionary meaning, it would mean builder built the space in the room, which is an atrocious idea. The builder has only built the walls and the ceiling, which are not the room, maybe the floor also. Room means space within those structures. So what has happened here? The utpatti of the wall and ceiling and floor are transferred to the unbound space. Space was there before, even before the walls and ceiling, etc., came up. Space is there even now. But we say a room has been built, an ashram has been built, a kitchen has been built, a hall has been built. They're all what? Sushira Bheda hai. Because one of the meanings of the word Sushira is a hole, H-O-L-E, hole, or a cavity. In fact, in West, in US and all that, they call it a den, no? A space which doesn't have any window and all. It's sort of an extra room, maybe a study or something like that. So Sushira means a cavity. In this context, we can take it as a space. Veda means varieties. Because we say big room, small room, etc., isn't it? Bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, different shapes and sizes, but essentially everything is space only. The bigness or the smallness cannot belong to the space, because space is only one infinite space, isn't it? So because of all these conditioning factors, the space appears to be varieties of enclosed spaces. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, by orientation, we use these expressions like hall, room, etc. So if you ask whether space is born by construction of a room, what should be the answer? The answer is space is really not born. Space was always there, but it is seemingly born with the birth of enclosing walls and ceiling. And therefore, Bhashyakara says, Gatadi Upadi Prabedam Anu. Anu means in keeping with. Gatadi Upadi Prabedam. Varieties of enclosures like pot, etc. So one space is seemingly divided into various spaces in keeping with the varieties of enclosures like pot, etc. Therefore, we must understand a pot space or a room space is never born. Hall space is never born. All that we are doing is we transfer the Upadhi Janma, the Janma of the walls and the ceiling and the floor, to the Upahita Akasha. We are superimposing the structure of the room or the hall or the pot on the one infinite space, and we call that room space or whatever it is. And this is what is called adhyasa in Vedanta terminology. And therefore, in the context of pot space and total space, adhyasa can be defined as Gatopadi Janma, Gata Upahita Akashe Adhyaste, Anyosmin Anyot Atmakam Anyonya Dharmamscha Adhyascha Ahamidam Naisargikoyam Loka Vyavaharaha. It's a beautiful definition which Swami Paramatanda gives. So the qualities of the pot is superimposed on the total space. And having superimposed the qualities, the name and form of the pot onto the space is described as pot, cup, etc. Similarly, when a body is born, let it be the body of a human being, an animal, a plant, a mosquito. When a body is born, the qualities, the name and form, etc. of the body are transferred to the one and only Atma, the Paramatma. And people say, I am Jivatma. My name is so and so and so, etc. Today is my birthday, and here is a chocolate. Isn't it? And from a Vedantic standpoint, whenever they are disclosing all these things, They are only exposing their ignorance, their delusion. They don't understand that I am the enclosed Chaitanyam, which Chaitanyam was always there and will always be there. I am never born. What is born is this body, mind, sense complex. I have always been there and I will always be there. And therefore, Bhashyakara says, Gathadi Upadi Prabedam Anubhavanti. In keeping with the birth of various varieties of enclosures like pot, etc., we give the name as pot room. Anu, as I said, is in keeping with Bhavanti means born, are born, plural. So, in keeping with the birth of varieties of enclosures, we say a pot is born, the rooms, the halls are born, are created. Actually, we should say they are seemingly born. Even if you say they are seemingly born, it will be acceptable to Vedanta. Iva. Bhavanti iva. So, evam nana nama rupa krita dehopadi prabhavam anu prajayante. That's what Bhashyakara says. Evam, in this manner, similarly, the Jivatmas, which includes me, the Chaitanyam, which is never born, but is seemingly born in keeping with the birth of the Deha Upadhi. So, Deha Upadhi Prabhavam Anu. Prabhavam means Utpatti, birth. In keeping with the birth of the body, the Jivatma is seemingly born. And what is the body? Nama Rupa Kritam. Body is nothing but a name and form. It does not have substantiality of its own. Substantiality belongs to only the Mula Karanam, Brahman or Atma. So thus Paramatma is the Srishti Karanam of the Jivatma. Paramatma is the Srishti Karanam of the Jagat also. But here, of course, the Jagat is not taken in this context. But that is also we have to understand. What is this Jagat? Jagat is also like a Jivatma, nothing but a Nama Rupa. Various objects are all born. Various things are born. Mountain is born. Rivers are born. What are they? Only Upadhis. Maya Upadhi at the total level, at the macrocosm level. That they are also Maya Upadhi only. The reality, the substantiality behind all of them is what? Paramatma alone. Brahman alone. And hereafter, the Upanishad says, not only Paramatma is Srishti Karanam, Paramatma is the Laya Karanam also. And that is said in the next sentence. We will read. Tatra cha eva.
Tatra cha eva.
Eva.
Others join, please. Tatra cha eva.
Tatra cha eva.
Tasmin eva kshare.
Tasmin eva
Eva
kshare.
kshare.
Apiyanti.
Apiyanti.
Dehopadhi vilaya mano.
Dehopadhi vilaya mano.
Liyante.
Niyante.
Gathadi vilayam.
Gathadi vilayam.
Anu.
Anu.
Iva sushira bedaha.
Iva sushira vedaha.
So tatra cha. Tatra cha eva is in the moolam. Bhashyakara says that is equal to Tasmin Eva Akshare. Into the same Paramatma, the Aksharam Brahma. So in that imperishable Brahman alone, Apiyanti means merge or resolve. Dehopadi vilayam anuliyante. Anu, as we know, is in keeping with Dehopadi vilayam. In Deha Upadi vilayam. Dissolution or merger of the Upadi, the adjunct in the form of the body. So in keeping with that Upadi, liyante or dissolve. Gatadi vilayamanu iva sushira bedaha. And here also, Bhashyakara wants to say that the merger or dissolution is also a figurative expression. There is no question of actual merger. Because at least in the Upanishadic example, the spark can travel and merge into Agni because there is a physical distance. But between Jivatma and Paramatma, what is the distance? It is exactly like between the distance between part space and total space. How will part space merge into total space? It is not possible, isn't it? Only when the part is broken, the part space seemingly resolves into the total space without any motion or change. Because once the part is broken, the word part space goes away. So there is no, actually merger is not taking place. What was earlier the situation before the birth of the pot, that is restored. And therefore the word merger is only a figurative expression and we should not take the literal meaning. Because the other Siddhantas, they take the literal meaning of merging with the Lord. And this can happen only after death. Some noise is coming. So, as I said, other Siddhantas, after death, they talk of going to Vaikuntha and all that and merging with Mahavishnu and all that. But all that can happen only after death. So there is no concept of Jivan Mukti in their philosophies. Therefore, in the case of the Ghatakasha example, merger means just that the word pot space goes away, vanishes. Therefore, Jivatma merging into Paramatma is not a physical event. Just that the word Jivatma is withdrawn. That's all what Bhashyakara wants to say. Therefore, he says, Deha Upadi Vilayam Anu. When the body enclosure, that is the body conditioning factor, dissolves, Vilayam means dissolution. Anu, in keeping with, in conformity with the dissolution of the Deha Upadi, the container body, Liyante, is seemingly dissolved. So Bhashyakara is emphasizing again that it is not actual merger, but only merger in a figurative sense. It is as though merger. And that is why he says, Gatadi Vilayamanu Iva Sushira Bedaha. Iva is important. This Iva is a very, very important word. in the entire Vedanta literature. Everything appears as though they are real, but nothing is real. Everything appears as though they exist, but nothing exists. That is Vedanta. Nothing means objects don't exist. There is only one thing which exists. What is that? Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That only exists. Nothing else exists. Everything else appears to exist by borrowing existence from that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Then the concluding sentence of the Bhashya. We will read. Yatha akashasya
यथा
यथा
आकाशस्य
आकाशस्य
sushirabedaha
सुशिरभेदः
उत्पत्ति प्रलय निमित्तत्वम्
उत्पत्तिप्रलयनिमित्तत्वम्
घटादि उपाधिकृतम्
घटादि उपाधिकृतम्
एव
एव
तद्वत्
तद्वत्
अक्षरस्यापि
अक्षरस्यापि
नामरूपकृत
नामरूपकृत
देहोपाधि निमित्तत्वेव
देहोपाधिनिमित्तमेव
जीवोत्पत्ति
जीवोत्पत्ति
प्रलय निमित्तत्वम्.
प्रलयनिमित्तत्वम्.
It's a very, very important paragraph, very important aspect which Bhashyakara is touching upon, which is not directly said in the mantra. But Bhashyakara is extracting this idea from the mantra. And that is what is important, because generally you will understand all the word meanings. But what is the underlying message which will not be, explicitly stated in many of the circumstances? So we require somebody like Bhashyakara, other Acharyas, to extract what is the Upanishad actually wanting to say. And this is their, profound contribution to the Vedanta literature. But for them, we won't be able to understand, what all these mantras, Upanishad mantras are meaning. What is the message they are conveying? So what does he say? Going back to the total space and part space example, Bhashyakara says the part space is never born because there is only one all-pervading space. Nothing happens as far as space is concerned. Then why do we say part space? It is because of our mischief. We get trapped in our own mischief. What do? We build a pot or create a pot. When the pot is created, creation belongs to the pot only. No space is born. Space was before also there, now also is there. Now what do? We invent a new word, pot space. So after creating the pot, we create a new word, pot space. This is mischief number one. And having created a new word, pot space, we do the second mischief. And we say pot space is born. If you say pot is born, it will be still okay. But we want to invent space. We talk about the birth of pot space. And this is the mischief or blunder number two. And because of this, pot space becomes a karyam, a product. So what we have done, we have created pot space as a karyam, which is a blunder number three. So we create a pot, invent a word pot space. then talk about the birth of pot space. Then we talk about Karyagata Akasha. Then we add another adjective, total space, Mahakasha. In fact, if you look at it, there is only one Akasha. There is only one space. And in that we say, oh, Gatakasha, Mahakasha, this Akasha, that Akasha. Blunder number 4. Then having created the 4th blunder, we go to the 5th. What we say, Mahakasha is the Karanam, so that innocently remaining Akasha is given a title Mahakasha. And we invent this lie of Mahakasha to cover up the lie or blunder of inventing Gatakasha. So what we are doing? We are ending up telling a series of lies to protect the first lie. We are experts in that, isn't it?
Very much.
Thus, we have invented a Karana Mahakasha and we have invented a Karya Gatakasha. Just imagine all our inventions. While the fact is what? There is only one Karya Karana Vilakshana Eka Akasha alone is there. And this is the fact and this is the reality. And Bhashyakara says the same blunder we have created in one Atma Chaitanyam, which is innocently remaining doing nothing. There is only one Atma which is sitting there. Pure consciousness, pure existence and limitlessness. Then like we create a pot, a body is created. Essentially both are the same. Body is also Prithvi Mahabhuta, pot is also Prithvi Mahabhuta. So this is where the blunder with understanding Atma starts. The misunderstanding with Atma starts. Once the body enclosure is created, Chaitanyam is given a new name, Jivatma. Just like how I call pot space as Ghatakasha, Chaitanyam is called Jivatma. And thereafter it is called Karya Atma, created Atma. Then what is the next blunder? If you put the adjective Jiva for this, then you have to invent an adjective for the Paramatma. Adjective for Atma, only one, the one and only Atma. So what do you say? You give the Para adjective to that. So like you have Jivatma, you say Paramatma. Another blunder. Jivatma is a blunder. The name Paramatma is a blunder. And then we say, okay, Jivatma is called Karya Atma, Paramatma is called Karana Atma. And therefore we talk about Jivatma, Paramatma Sambandha as Karya Karana Sambandha. All because of Deha Upadhi, which gives Karanam status to Paramatma and Karyam status to Jivatma. Both these statuses are stati, or what you should call, I don't know, plural. They are false, they are mithya. Both of them are false because it is transferred from the body. That status is nothing but referring to the body. It starts with that, then we give similar status to Paramatma also. And that is what Bhashyakara says here. Akashasya utpatti pralaya nimittatvam. Utpatti pralaya nimittatvam means the causal status, the karanatvam. So being the cause of utpatti, the creation, the pralaya and pralaya, the resolution, which in simple language means karanatvam, the karanatvam status. For what? Akashasya. for one and all pervading space gets the false status of Karanatvam. Because of what? Gatadi upadi kritam eva, because of the origination of a pot, etc. So we talked about Gata Akasha Utpatti, then we talked about Maha Akasha, then we talked about Karya Akasha, Karana Akasha, Karya Karana Sambandha, all because of what? We created one pot. That's all. That is means what? It is not the intrinsic nature of Akasha. The pot that we created, it will exist now, it may vanish tomorrow, get broken into pieces, become clay again. So the pot, that's only an incidental status. So he says, Tata, in the same way, Tadvat Aksharasyapi, for one Chaitanyam only, Akshara Brahman, the indivisible Brahman, the non-dual Brahman only. The Karanam status has come only because of the body Utpatti. Nama Rupa Krita Dehopadi Nimittad Eva. Because of Deha Upadi alone. Jiva Utpatti Pralaya Nimittatvam. Utpatti Pralaya Nimittatvam means causal status. So similarly, this title for Atma, this Chaitanyam as Paramatma, the status of being the cause, the Karanam is also incidental. Paramatma is neither Karanam and Jivatma is neither Karyam nor Karyam. So this last sentence presented by Bhashyakara is very important because he wants to remind us that in this mantra, the Upanishad is presenting the Tatastha Lakshana of Akshara Brahman as we discussed in the beginning itself. And what is that? The Upanishad is presenting the Karanam status of Brahman or Paramatma. And because the mantra stated that Paramatma is Karanam, Jivatma is Karyam, Bhashyakara wants to highlight that we should understand that both these are incidental status only. The Karanam status of Paramatma is also not intrinsic. The Karyam status of Jivatma is also not intrinsic. It is incidental caused by the physical body. So when the body is created, consciousness is seemingly divided into two. One as Sarvagata Chaitanyam and other one as Dehagata Chaitanyam. The body does not actually make a division in consciousness, but it makes a seeming division just as pot creates a seeming divisions in the form of Mahakasha, Gatakasha. And after creating a seeming division, Gatakasha appears to be a product, Mahakasha appears to be a cause. So this causal and product status are incidental. Nothing has happened to the Akasha itself. Similarly, nothing has happened to the consciousness, Chaitanyam, when the body is created. But it appears as though the enclosed consciousness is created and the all-pervading consciousness is the creator. The Jivatma is seemingly created by Paramatma. And once the body is taken away, it is revealed that there is neither creation of Jivatma nor Paramatma is his creator. There is only one Purnamadav Purnamidam. That's all. That consciousness alone, that Akshara Brahman alone is Purnam. Then now there will be a relevant question. And what would be that? if that be the case, that in reality there is no karanam and no karyam, then why should the Upanishad talk about karya karana bhava? Why should the Upanishad talk about Srishti, all this creation and all that, taking you for a long ride? For that also, there is an answer. And the answer is, Srishti is talked about only for the purpose of teaching. First, Karanatvam status is given to Brahman for the sake of teaching. In fact, Swami Paramathananda ji gives a very good, nice example. He says it is like a disposable cup used for drinking coffee. Coffee being liquid, it cannot be directly handled. You can't say you pour some coffee in my hand and I will drink it. No. If it is something solid like biscuit or a fruit, we can directly handle them. But we cannot handle a liquid similarly. So we require a container to handle the liquid. Therefore, for drinking coffee, we introduce a disposable paper cup. The word disposable is very important. So for drinking coffee or water or soup or any liquid, we use a disposable cup. Now, do we consume the coffee or the liquid and also the cup? We consume only the coffee part. And after the coffee is consumed, what do you do? The disposable cup is disposed. So introducing the cup is called adhyaropa. Disposing the cup is called apavada in Vedantic terminology. At the end, you get satisfaction of having had the coffee, which is tripti, which is called moksha. Similarly, karanatvam is a disposable cup added to Brahman. And once Brahman is understood, karanatvam status is removed, akaranam Brahma is revealed. And therefore, this karanatvam is only a temporary status. And that will be said by the Upanishad itself in the next mantra. In fact, I am reminded of one more very good example. Why this? We have to introduce a certain element, and this is very common in mathematics, isn't it? We make certain assumptions, and eventually those assumptions are removed. For example, when we solve an equation, we say we have to find out the value of x. So we start with let x be 100. And then we will go around and solve the equation and remove the effect of 100 from x, get the value of x. So long ago, even before I came to Vedanta, I had attended one satsanga in Chinmaya Mission in Bombay. Some Acharya was there and he was explaining this concept. He said, he gave a nice story, but I was very impressed by the story. Why certain things need to be introduced to solve an issue, to make people understand. He said there was this old man who owned 17 horses and he had 3 children, 3 sons. And he was in his deathbed. So he told the sons, see, all my horses are there. He told the first son, you take half of them. Second son, he says, you take 1/3. Third son, he said, you take 1/6. And he died. So the sons, when they went and counted the horses, they were 17 in number. Now the first son said, I want half of that is my property. So 8.5 horses I will take. That means one horse has to be killed, cut into 2. Then the second son said, no, mine is, this thing is 1/3 I have to get. So that means I have to get 3 horses, isn't it? No, 6 horses. So 5 or something, 1/3 of 17, you can calculate. So this problem was there. Without cutting one horse, they cannot divide this 17 horses. So what happened? They were having some tussle between them, and one Mahatma came. And the Mahatma said, "What is your problem?" And they explained the problem to Mahatma. The Mahatma was riding in a horse, he also came by a horse. So they said, "This is the 17 horses. My father said one half to me, 1/3 to him, 1/6 to him, and all that." Mahatma said, "It's very simple. I will solve it." He said, "How? You will cut one horse?" He said, "No, I will not cut any horse." He says, "I will actually add my own horse to the 17 horses. Then let's see, we will see." Though he added, then it became 18 horses. Now, 50% of 18 is what? One half, 9 horses. He said, 9 horses you take to the first son. Then what is the balance, 1/3 of 18, 6 horses. So 6 horses he gave to the second son. Now what is the third one? 3 horses, isn't it? 1/6. 1/6, no, sorry. I'm getting something. 1/6, correct. 1/6 is 3 horses. So 3 horses he gave to the third son. So 9 plus 6 plus 3. No, I'm making some mistake somewhere.
Probably half and 2/3 of the remaining and 1/3 of the remaining.
Sorry, 2/3 and 1/3, correct. Of the remaining 2/3 and the last 1/3. So the second son will get 6 and the third one will get 2 horses. Okay, so 9 plus 6, 15 plus 2, 17 horses given. And the Mahatma took his own horse away. So it's a good example. I remember in this context. So the Upanishad also introduces some extra elements. And eventually it will take it away. They are not the main teaching of the Upanishad. But for teaching purposes, these are this Karanatvam, status, etc. They are introduced. So that's the first mantra of the second Mundaka. First section talks about Karanam Brahma. And the second mantra talks about Aksharam Brahma. Now we will enter the second mantra. Okay. (2.1.2).
Yes.
And this is the 24th mantra of the Upanishad. So the relevance of the last sentence of the Bhashyam of the previous mantra is revealed in this mantra. And that is another beauty of Bhashyakara. He knows what is going to come. So he prepares the student for that in the previous mantra Bhashyam itself. So Bhashyakara introduces the mantra 2.1.2 as follows. And we will read. Nama Rupa Bija Bhutat.
Nama Bija Bhuta.
Nama Rupa Bija
Nama Rupa Bija.
Bhutat
Bhuta.
Avyakrita
Avyakta.
Akhyat
Avyakta.
Swavikara Apekshaya
Apekshaya.
Parat
Parat.
Aksharat Param
Aksharat Param.
Yat Sarvopadi
Yat Sarvopadi.
Vedavarjitam
Vedavarjitam.
Aksharasyaiva
Aksharasyaiva.
Swarupam
Swarupam.
Akashasya iva
Akashasya
Sarvamurti Varjitam.
Sarvamurtivarjitam.
Then within inverted comma he says Neti Neti.
Neti.
He is quoting from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4.22 mantra number. Ityadi
Ityadi.
Visheshanam
Visheshanam
Vivakshan aha.
Vivakshan aha.
This is still the Bhashyam only, no, Guruji, not the Shloka, because Shloka is
No, it's
only
not
the
sloka. It
next
is just the introductory bhashyam, Sangati
introductory
bhashyam.
Bhashyam. Oh,
He is introducing the next sloka, next mantra.
Dhanyawad, Guruji.
Yeah. So before we get into the discussion on this Sangati bhashyam, it is important to remember one important aspect of the entire Upanishadic teaching. And that is the prakriya which Upanishad uses for revealing Akshara Brahman. Because as I have been telling quite often, Akshara Brahman, consciousness, pure consciousness, is not something which easily we can understand or comprehend. It is so subtle. And therefore, Upanishad uses many methods, many prakriyas in order to reduce the description of that Brahman into words. Because even words cannot, they fall short when they describe Brahman. But there is no other way for the Upanishad to teach us about what is that Brahman is all about. So the Upanishad uses a number of prakriyas for revealing Aksharam Brahman. And in the previous mantra, we saw that Brahman has got two versions. One is Karanam Brahma, which is introduced in the beginning of the teaching at the type of Adhyaropa stage. And it is said that Brahman is Jagat Karanam. Then the world is negated as Mithya, just as an appearance with no substance. Therefore, the Karanam status of Brahman is also negated. And Akaranam Brahma is revealed. And this Karanam Brahma and Akaranam Brahma are known by different names. Karanam Brahma is known as Maya Sahitam Brahman. And Akaranam Brahma is known as Maya Rahitam Brahman. Karanam Brahma is Sagunam. Akaranam Brahma is Nirgunam. Karanam Brahma is Sopadikam. Akaranam Brahma is Nirupadikam. Karanam Brahma is Vyavaharikam. Akaranam Brahma is Paramarthikam. Karanam Brahma is popularly known as Ishvara. And Akaranam Brahma is popularly known as Brahman. So these are the various names of the two status that we accord to Brahman. So therefore, these two Brahmans are talked about. In the first mantra, Karanam Brahman was talked about. Now in this mantra, Aksharam Brahma, the Paramarthikam Brahma, which is superior Brahman, superior even to Ishvara, the Karanam Brahman is talked about. And Akaranam Brahma is superior to Karanam Brahma because Akaranam is Paramarthika Satyam, absolute reality. Karanam Brahman is Vyavaharika Satyam, empirical reality, transactional reality. And it is the knowledge of Akaranam Brahman and the assimilation of that knowledge which gives liberation or moksha. And Bhashyakara will later point out that the superiority of Nirgunam Brahman from the standpoint of Saguna Ishvara is revealed in this mantra. So from the standpoint of Karyam, the Jagat, Ishvara, the Karanam Brahman is superior. Compared to Jivatma, the Karanam Ishvara is superior. But compared to that Ishvara, Akaranam Brahma, the Nirakara, Nirupadika, Nirguna Chaitanyam is superior. So that idea is revealed in this mantra. Now we will look at the Sangati Bhashyam in the next class. We'll stop here. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Guruji,
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Thank you.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank
Classes
you,
are
Guruji.
becoming heavy and heavy, huh?
Very, very heavy. Going beyond comprehension.
Don't worry. After the second, third will become lighter. Third Mundaka will become lighter. Don't worry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, okay. Very, very.
See, in any travel, it happens, isn't it? Because
Totally-
initially, you enjoy the travel. You are getting to a train, for example, long distance train. What happens? Initially, a few hours you enjoy, meet new people, have some snacks and things like that and all. Then it starts getting boring. What to do? It's very hot and all that. Then after some time, when you're nearing your destination, it again becomes enjoyable. Okay, few more hours. I will now get down from this train. Becomes enjoyable again. Similarly, Upanishad also, because the most what I would call difficult part, it has to sandwich between two easy parts. Then only it will be we can eat and digest it. That is why. Anyhow, so questions. Yes, Sulekha ji is first. I saw her hand first.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, namaste.
In today's talk, a question arose for me, which is when you talked about knowledge, is it the same as experience? So to have the knowledge of something, does that mean that we need to have the experience of it in order to have that assimilation? Or is the knowledge a cognitive knowledge, which is then, is that the same as book knowledge, which I don't think it is, which is quite superficial? How does one know to be doubtless and assimilate within that doubtless knowledge?
Now I'll ask you a question. Your name is Sulekha, isn't it?
Yes.
You are given the name by your parents. And when you are growing up, you are told this is your name. And today, whenever anybody asks you what's your name, you say, my name is Sulekha. Now, have you ever experienced Sulekha? Isn't it? You gained the knowledge parents gave you. Then you actually adopted that knowledge, assimilated that knowledge. There is no separate experience required. So when the Upanishad tells you you are Brahman, that there is no Paramatma, no Jivatma, you are that Atma. You just have to assimilate that knowledge. There is no experience that you need for that. Just like each one of us, we don't need to experience. Suppose I was told your name is Ganapathy. Then my parents did not take me to a zoo and showed one elephant, and then this elephant, see the face. This is Ganapathy's face, and the pot belly is Ganapathy, and nothing. I have never experienced Ganapathy, but I know I am Ganapathy. Similarly, when I am told by the Upanishad, by the Rishis, that you are Brahman, I don't need to experience Brahman. The assimilation, or I should say abiding in Brahman, is only if I understand, accept the fact that I am Brahman just as I have accepted. Have you ever thought, I don't know, because most 99.9% people, I have never thought why my name was given as Ganapathy or Raghu or whatever it is, not some other name. Why my parents chose to give me this name. We never think, isn't it? Suppose my name had been something else, Amitabh Bachchan or Shivaji Ganeshan, and we never think like that. Similarly, when I am told I am Brahman, All that I am doing is I am replacing my understanding that I am Sulekha or Ganapathy with a new understanding that I am Brahman. I am consciousness. All this body, mind, sense complex, all these experiences are all incidental. They are not the reality. That's how we have to imbibe this knowledge, assimilate this knowledge, and abide in that knowledge. That is how it is. I hope I have been able to explain it to you.
No, it's a very good explanation. Your explanations have always been very clear. I have the doubt because, for example, we are not our names. Our name is something like the container that you have described in today's class. The container of the walls and the ceiling is holding it's the manifestation of something that's been captured or caught. And so for me, I mean, maybe I'm the wrong example to give my name because I've never been attached to my name. Maybe I'm saying that in some superficial way. My name could have been anything else. And because I was brought to the West at a very young age, my name was not actually the name that many people, they couldn't pronounce this name that my parents gave to me. So they made some adjustments. So whether you call me Sulekha as the Indian name or whether you call me something else that has been slightly manufactured so that the Western tongue can pronounce it, to me, it doesn't really matter because I'm not my name. I'm the
No, I
name of
gave
this
the name as only an
thing.
example.
Yes. No, I
Your case
understand
is a
that.
special case where maybe, like some people go to the West and then they are not able to pronounce those names. So they shorten it or give a different basic. For example, my name Ganapathy, when I was working in Standard Chartered Bank, I used to be called Gana because that was easy for the Britishers to
Yes,
pronounce.
yes.
Ganapathy was too long for them. So I used to be Gana, right? That's not the point.
Right. No.
The point is whatever be the name, it is not an experience. We don't need to experience a name. So similarly, when I am told that you are Brahman, I don't need to experience. I just have to accept that I am Brahman. I have to abide in that knowledge. And I have to actually exhibit all the qualities of that Brahman in all my physical behavior. We will all come to so more details we will come, we have just got into I would say the first step of this Brahman in this mantra, right? We'll get into
I
much more
appreciate
detail
that.
in Bhagavad Gita also when we come to the last 6 chapters. There'll be a lot
Yes.
more that I will be, teaching rather in this respect. So for the
Yes.
present, you can just just understand that every experience, first thing is Brahman cannot be experienced, Brahman need not be experienced. On the contrary, every name and form that we experience is experience of Brahman alone. Because there is nothing called name and form. Brahman with Upadhi, with the adjunct is called and given a name and a form. So whenever we are
Right.
experiencing anything, that is the experience of Brahman alone. So the experience of Brahman and understanding of Brahman and abiding in Brahman are not two different things. It is not like science or physics, chemistry and all, where you have theory and then you have practice and all. Nothing like that. That misunderstanding should not come at all completely. So it is
Yes.
only knowledge and knowledge alone which will give the moksha. Not doing anything. You can do all the karmas, it will give you punyam and it will take you to Swargaloka and all that, but not moksha. That is what
Right.
you have to
No,
understand. Okay.
it's very, very clear, and I appreciate it, Guruji. I think, a lot of times, if I can just say one more thing, I don't want to hold up the other questions, but a lot of times the questions often will come after the class, or after contemplating a little bit more. In this case, very clearly a question arose and a doubt arose. I mean, the doubt is my own misunderstanding. I don't want to misinterpret what are very clear teachings. it's my own awareness that is requiring some growth, I think, in order to be able
It's
to.
fine, Sudhika. I mean, any kind of
assimilate.
doubt, you can raise. There is no problem. And these kinds of doubts are very genuine doubts. And not only you, many students actually have similar doubts because our orientation is a scientific mind. We think in terms of first learning something and then practicing, putting it to practice, because the whole karma kanda is that only. What is karma kanda? That the whole first learn all the Veda mantras and the procedures and then perform all the karmas. Correct. You will get the result only when you perform the karmas. So this is what 99.9% of the people orientation is. So there's nothing wrong in having such doubts and all that. But what we must understand is how Upanishad completely, differs from this entire system. How the Upanishad brings you to the ultimate reality, which reality is not available to understand for most of the people. Majority of the people, they can't understand. It's not available for their understanding. It's only a few chosen few who are blessed, who get this opportunity in the human life to get exposed to this teaching. That is what we have to appreciate.
I'm very grateful for that and
Correct.
for the teachings and for you. And there's each class of becoming very, very pronounced. And I think you said in another class as well, if it doesn't transform you, then it's just book knowledge or it's just pastime or whatever the phrase is. This is not pastime. This is not 1 hour and then, some punya is going to come from it. So, that is just to show to you that there is a commitment on my part as a student to truly try to understand and to try and lessen that ego that thinks, oh, I should know, or I do know, or I don't know. I mean, that even by saying I don't know, that's an ego that affirms itself by thinking that it somehow has to grab this knowledge. So I do appreciate how you teach and what you teach and how that for whatever reason we've all been able to come together to learn this. So thank you.
Okay, Hariom.
Namaskaram
Thank
to
you.
and pranam
Yes,
and
Lataji.
Hariom.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Guruji, if time is an issue, I can.
No issue about time. My dinner is ready. I've already made it. I'm not going down now to eat in the canteen at all. So I make my own dinner. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you very much, Guruji. Guruji, this is about when you were talking about if there is neither a creator nor a created, then why do we talk about the Karya and Karanam? And giving the example of Swami Paramathanandaji, given the coffee cup and the coffee in the disposable cup. If it's possible, I can either listen to the recording or is it possible to explain it briefly once again, Guruji?
See, the basic example is what is the important aspect of the whole thing? Unfortunately, what is happening now that we are taking our body, mind, sense complex to be the most important thing, correct? But it is only like a disposable cup. Understand? So, there, what is important is drinking the coffee, not the disposable cup. After you drink the coffee, you dispose of the cup. Similarly, here, what is important is only one Paramatma. This body, sense complex, all these kind of things are all seemingly dividing that one Paramatma into many Jivatmas.
Yes.
But that is only a seeming division. But created by whom? Created by our own self. We have created these divisions. Because imagine when there was no human being on the earth. Animals may be there, trees may be there, but they don't know, they cannot give names. Only when the human being is born, all this mischief starts, isn't it?
Yes, Guru.
So there was only consciousness
Hmm.
to begin with, correct? Then one Jivatma is born, one human being is born. Human being is born means what? That Maya creates this Upadhi. And then this human being starts giving names. It gives the name Maya, Brahman, Jivatma, Paramatma, and all kind of a thing. What ultimately Bhashyakara is trying to tell you is, it's all very good for understanding purposes. But eventually, what you must understand is there is only one body of water. That body of water appears sometimes in the form of bubbles, sometimes in the form of froth, sometimes in the form of waves, so small wave, big wave, etc. But they are all temporary, incidental. The main body is ocean water only. So there also in this cup example also, what we have to understand is that that cup we are using is
So we
only
have a
for the
coffee,
purpose of drinking that coffee.
drinking the
Beyond
coffee.
that, the cup has got no purpose. So our body, mind, sense complex, the purpose is to understand this absolute reality. Beyond that, there is no purpose of this body, mind, sense complex. But we require it for understanding.
Okay.
Then only we get moksha.
Yes.
Isn't it? So that is
That's
how the whole
sadhana.
thing is connected.
Sadhana to know that you are.
Exactly. That is how it is connected.
And you use two terms, Guruji. One is Adhyaropa and another one. So what is Adhyaropa and what is the other word that you use?
Other word is apavada.
Apavada.
Adhyaropa is superimposition.
Hmm.
And apavada is negativing, that is negating it. So first, like for example, that horse example I gave you. First you added one horse.
Yeah.
That is adhyaropa, make it 18. Then in the end you do apavada, remove that horse.
And then it's okay.
Negate that horse, extra horse.
Oh,
So
okay.
that the puzzle is solved. Right?
Oh.
So
Oh.
adhyaropa, similarly,
Hmm.
the teaching of the Upanishad is first adhyaropa. We say, oh, Jivatma, this, that, and all, do this karma, that karma, and all that.
Hmm.
Finally, the Upanishad will come to apavada, saying that all this is mithya, ignore all of them. What remains is only the most important part, which is Chaitanyam, which is consciousness, which is Brahman, which is Atma, which is yourself.
Right.
And that is how the culmination of Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi, etc., it culminates in that knowledge.
Okay.
Okay, right. Yes,
Thank you.
Arun,
Thank you for
Arun,
the explanation.
Hari
Guruji.
Om,
Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Arun Kumar ji.
Namaste, Guruji. In reference to Bhashyakara's statement about us differentiating between Gudakasha and
Mahakasha.
Ghatakasha and Gudakasha. So, does it mean that actually reality is not there? There is no reality other than Brahman. And, but we do sense ourselves, we feel pain. I mean, so how to get into that?
That is why the whole teaching is all about. Without this teaching, you will not even know such a possibility exists, isn't it? But you just, this Ghatakasha and Mahakasha example he gives, just think about it, because Vedanta requires a lot of thinking. Many things we take it for granted in our life, isn't it?
Correct.
But when we go a little bit detail into that, we suddenly find that, oh my God, this was wrong. My thinking was wrong. There is nothing called a pot space, room space and all. Space is one. You can't divide the space. See, today this room is there. Before the room was built, there was open space. Then the room came up. That open space only got enclosed into a room space, isn't it?
The material came from somewhere.
Material came and then apparently divided the space. Once the material goes away, it will be open space again. Isn't it?
So the space plus material, everything is one. Because it came in this form, we are now separating each as separate probably.
Correct.
But I can't imagine the material and space being together at all. It will take some ages, I don't know. But I can't
No,
even
you have to.
imagine.
That is what is all about. The teaching
Why
is all
create
about that
it?
only. The examples are given for us to understand one basic fundamental fact, that this body, mind, sense complex, which you are taking it as the most important thing in your life, with building huge ego, that ahankara, mamakara, all that is all creating all the sorrow, all the grief for you in life. So if you want to get away from all your sorrows, if you want to get away from all grief permanently, if you want eternal happiness, you have to understand that you are not this body, mind, sense complex. It is only a temporary kind of thing. What you are is that Brahman who is Sat, Chit, and Ananda, eternal happiness. Then you will be, once you disassociate yourself with this body, mind, sense complex, disidentify yourself and abide. That's why I said Vedanta, three things are very important. First is gaining the knowledge. Second is assimilating the knowledge. Third is abiding in that knowledge. These three is the complete package for Vedanta. Unless you have got all these three, then you won't get moksha. That's called moksha package. All three steps are very important. Okay.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hariom, thank you.
It will require ages, I think, to comprehend.
Uh,
It will require ages
Only-
to comprehend.
only
why?
this-
Because for ages you have been like this,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Even to get that
Yeah.
is difficult.
We have come through crores and crores of births. Only in this birth we have been told that there is something like this. There is a possibility, because we have taken, grief, sadness, and sorrow as a part of our life. We can even never ever think of having a life which is totally happy, isn't it?
No, you can never
We
think.
can't even think of it because we are not used to thinking like that.
Yeah.
But what is Vedanta telling you? That you are mistaken. You can be very happy. You can always be happy. You can get rid of all your sorrow, grief, etc., provided you attack the root cause of that. The root cause, you must understand why this is happening.
Yes.
Once you understand why this is happening and you then attack that root cause, then you will be happy, which is very scientific way of doing things, isn't it? When we have some big ailment, what do the doctors do? They will attack the root cause, isn't it? And then they'll completely remove that root cause. That is how Vedanta is doing. That
Yeah,
all suffering and all these things, which is a emotional turmoil which you are undergoing.
because we are associated with our
That's mainly because your association, identification of the body, mind, sense complex.
my wife, my mother, my children, they are associated.
Yeah, ahankara, mamakara, all because of that. All Vedanta is saying, and it is not a new thing. In fact, it has been said right in the beginning of the creation itself.
Anadi.
It's the Anadi. So that's why it's called Veda Anta. So you come to the end part of it, then you know all this is the reality. Now a few handful of people will be able to benefit out of it, and they have also benefited in the past. There are many Mahatmas. They have gone through this, they have benefited. So why not me also? Let me also benefit. That's all, if it is possible. And as you say, if it is going to take ages, let it take ages. Doesn't matter. I have made a beginning, isn't it? Because every child who aspires to be a part of the national cricket team has to start somewhere, some school team, the college team, the Ranji Trophy, etc. Not that everybody will come to the national level, but whoever comes to the national level has to come through that route only, rather. It might have taken ages for some people may do it very quickly, right? So it is a process. We have got into that process. Let us keep working and let us be reassured about Bhagavan Krishna's words in Gita. If we have whatever we do in this life, even if we don't get moksha, we will be continuing in the next life with the same thing. That guarantee Bhagavan Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita. What else do you want?
Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Okay.
So let us not be anxious whether we will get moksha or not.
Yeah, yes.
Beautiful path. Let us keep traveling in that path. Let it take 3 births, 4 births, 5 births, doesn't matter. But I am on the right track. I will eventually reach there. That is what should be our self-confidence.
Very good. Very nicely put. Very nicely put. Thank
That
you.
is what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think
Thank you,
we are
Guruji.
trying to
Thank
find
you.
solution, immediate solution. That's another problem.
We all look for
We want a quick solution.
quick solution. That is another body mind sense We have a headache, immediately take some tablet,
I want
As I said,
Brahman. I want
this-
Brahman just now.
Yeah, like 1 week, I told you the last class. If you have a cold, cough, fever, if you take medicine, it will last for 1 week. But if you just leave it, it will last for 7 days. Like that only. We have a quick solution. But many times the solution itself are the problem rather, isn't it? So
Thank you.
anyhow, that is what it is. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So we'll continue in next class. Hari
Hari
Om.
Om, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari
Hari Om.
Om. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.